You know who it is from Super 6, the horror flick, Big Mitch, Bolo Yang on them things you can't hang. Bang! You already know what it is, man. Welcome to Vegas Chronicles with your host, Big Mitch. Um, Today, like any other day, I answer questions, you know what I'm saying? But first, before I get started, shout out to Ye from Imperial Course that got at me, the brother about a watch, man. Everything we talked about yesterday, I'm with it. If it's positive, I like what you were saying. We need to put that forth. We got some big things, man, that we trying to do, man, for the people out there that support my platform, and we trying to get other people involved, man, so y'all can, help with this positive message and this new curriculum we trying to bring forth to the youth, man. And it's about saving, our future, which is our kids, man, and giving them a chance to live and righting our wrongs and rebuilding our community. And shout out to DJ FOS, man, and I can't wait to get together and do what me and you was talking about doing with the platform. These some real good brothers, man. And I got to salute these brothers, man, because, you would think that, all is lost, when it comes to us and our culture because of the devastation that we've caused amongst ourselves. But when you got brothers that's like-minded, that's for the solution and not the problem, and it's the universe that brings us together, and I got to say, it's I'm optimistic, that it might be hope yet, man. We got some good brothers out there that hasn't given up, yeah, and they want to see positive change in our community, and to that I salute them. Also, I don't know your name, but you be corresponding with me. It's hard for me to correspond, but I try my best. But you know who you are. You got a lot of Vegas history. I don't know what you want me to call you, but you was just talking about the ABMs and the DSVs and when they came out. Unfortunately, you got your history wrong a little bit as far as the ABMs. The ABMs didn't come out in 1988. They came out in 1989. No Shame stayed in the Gershon in 1989 on Belzar. No Shame was one of the first ABMs along with Boo Loco, Killer, and John Lee. Now you can throw Hot Top up in there too. A lot of people don't even know about Hot Top because he's been gone a long time. But Hot Top was one of the most known ABMs at one point when they first came out. You heard about Hot Top. Okay? So you had John Lee, Boo Loco and all them, Big Wrecking Ball, all them. But the name down there, that a lot of people forgot about was Hot Top. The ABMs came out in 1989. Okay? They didn't come out in 1988. Donna came out in 1980. Donna came out in 1987. Okay? And the ABMs came out in 1989. Along with the DSVs, along with the Fodu's Village Crips, along with the Sydney Sue Gangster Crips was already out. Sydney Sue was already out, but the Gangster Crippin' and stuff like that, all that came in 89, man. All that came in 89. A bunch of things sprung up, a bunch of gangs came out in 1989. 89 was the year Vegas was cracking the most, for real. It was the year the war with the 60s and the Donnas was an all-out war. The war with the Gershons and the Coast was still going on. The 60s and the Coast formed an alliance to offset the Gershon and the Donna Street alliance. So it was gang banging, and the Northtown gangsters was on the scene. The ABMs, the DSVs. It was a lot of people that was, trying to be heard in 89, 90 and stuff like that. An interesting question was asked of me, moving along from that. And that was, what was the difference between the Gpkz of my era and the Gpkz now? That's a good question. But that ain't one hub a dub. Can't answer. But the difference is loyalty, respect. See, look, when I came up, the Gershons of my era, and I grew up under some legendary figures like Dirty Rob, Master G, Willie Bucket, DMC, Bugsy, Pookie Red, his brother, his whole family, Donald Ray Page, Big Chucky, Boonch, Flock, Woodlock. I grew up under the best, the originals, the Graves, Booger Bell, Junebug, Pee Wee Sunshine. I grew up under the legends, you know. And one thing that they taught me was I never disrespected one of them. Tyrone Howe, Webb Dog, none of them. The Grimble brothers. I never disrespected one of them because they treated me like family, and that's what the Gersons was back then. See, the Gersons wasn't a gang; they were a family. They were family oriented. We fought amongst each other, but it was just, like family fights. But once outsiders, got into it with us, then they seen how the Gerson was. We was unified, you know, and if you had a quarter and I didn't have one, and you went to the candy lady, half that freeze cup was mine. I grew up with Mad Bummer, Dari Dow, Ligusta, you know what I'm saying, Keno, you know what I'm saying, Ballhead. We all grew up together. Fool's Dog, Trip Mac, Ski Dog, Lil Dog. We all grew up together. Jerry, his brother Steve, Amp, all us, we grew up together as babies, and we were tight, you know, and we didn't do the things that this new generation did. We didn't disrespect our OGs. We didn't disrespect people's moms. It's certain things we didn't do. Now, I ain't saying we were saints, we were bad, but it was just certain things we didn't do. These youngsters of this new era, they don't care. They'll kill you in church. They'll kill you by the church. It's certain things we didn't do. It was people that got, like for instance, if like when Puncho got killed from Northtown, right? This is a long time ago. They had his funeral in Blood Turf. The Bloods didn't shoot up the funeral. I mean, it's been incidents like when the Bloods went on Donna after a funeral and it got, cracking. But did nobody never really just go to the funeral and shoot up the funeral because we didn't take that type of ignorance toward or around churches. We didn't do that. But if you look at this new era, like when the Gersons in the 60s was funking, a deacon got his head blown off in that war. A deacon. That means they didn't care where the bullets was going. They was just shooting. They killed the deacon. Back during my era, that wouldn't have never happened. It never have happened. The worst thing that ever happened in my era, and this is how I know my era. The worst thing that ever happened in my era as far as gangbanging, and there's a lot of bad things, but the worst thing that ever happened in my era that they can say ever happened, and I'm gonna just say this, because it was so high profile. It was in Vegas, never seen nothing like that before. And that was when Donnie Hefty from 40 Block got killed at Eldorado. That was one of the worst things as far as gang banging that Vegas seen, because we didn't take gang banging to that extent into the schools. We never did. We never did. We didn't do that. Not like that. So that's the difference, see? We tried to keep what we was doing, where it was supposed to be, which is in the streets. It don't supposed to be played, period. It's all ignorance. I don't condone it. But at least we tried to do it in a way where we tried not to hurt innocent people. Innocent people did get hurt a lot of times when we was gangbanging, but at least we was mindful of it. We tried to be. We wasn't trying to hurt innocent people. And the Gersons back then, see, what people didn't understand, the Gerson ain't always been the biggest gang. The GQs was the biggest gang for a long time, because I told you they occupied a lot of areas from Northtown to Sydney Sue to West Side GQs. There was a bunch of them. It was more GQs than Gersons at one point. But the reason why the GQs could never really penetrate into the Gerson is because the Gerson was always together and strong. And this before the Gerson occupied multiple areas like Cary Arms, Sierra Nevada Arms, and stuff like that, or the trailer courts in Vegas Heights, when they was just in the Gerson and on 40 Block. When the G's was just right there, they was never penetrated by the GQs because they were older than the GQs, and they were like family oriented. They were really together, you know. But this new era, they quick to say I ain't got no big homies. You know, they shoot up the strip, which you know is a no-no. The last thing you want to do in Las Vegas is mess with these people money. But these youngsters done been all on America's Most Wanted, the Squad and Wood with that, you know, what they doing on the strip, busting on the strip and stuff like that. You know, these youngsters, and they can say, well, the youngsters is harder than, no, they're not. That has nothing to do with it. It's just that, you know, the old heads got locked up and strung out on Sherm. Sherm hit, listen, in 89, from 89, I'm going to pinpoint it, from 89 on up. Sherm really came back in 89. It was on Laurie Street. Now, before it came back full-fledged, people were still smoking it, but you very seldomly heard about PCP. But in 89, it came back full-fledged on Laurie Street. That's what a water was. And that's when people who didn't know nothing about Sherm started smoking it. That's what messed gangbanging up. Trust me, it messed me up. I was smoking Sherm when I was 12 years old. I was smoking Sherm when I was 12 years old. And I remember one day, you know, I'm going to just say this. This is why you don't mess with that. PCP is a powerful drug, man. It's a tranquilizer. You know, and it's a drug I don't condone no one to do. Don't mess with that stuff. Because I messed around and went over there on Laurie. I was 14 years old, man. A baby messing with a powerful drug like that. And one day I got wet. I got shermed out over there on Laurie. I got too shermed out. And I remember, you know, walking home, and you know, people was trying to, you know, contain me, but I had smoked a little bit too much. And what I ended up doing, and it's sad, I ended up going home. And when my auntie Merlin seen me, she knew something was wrong with me. And it was like, I ain't gonna lie, I was so shermed out, I thought I was on fire. It was like I was burning. I don't know, I just had to come out my clothes. I started ripping my clothes and all that old stuff. You know, I was shermed out, screaming, you know. And my auntie, she started screaming and crying and stuff like that. So I went upstairs and I was like in the room, it burned, it burned, it burned. That water had me gone. I'm over there screaming, it burned, it burned. I'm taking all my clothes off and stuff like that. So look what I do. I slam the door. I got my back all up against the wall like I'm really on fire. I'm slapping myself. I'm screaming. I'm doing all this. But I'm moving slow. So you can imagine how I look. Look what I do. I really thought I was on fire. And I panicked. And I didn't know what to do. And I was scared to burn up. I was scared to burn up. So you know what my stupid self did? And I'm going to keep it real. I did the same thing I did in Elko. I hung myself. And you know, when I was up there, doing all that, pulling my clothes off and all that old stuff, my auntie, she dialed 911. And you know, they had a substation in the Gerson. So it didn't take them long for the Metro to get the hell. They just ran over there, you know. But the fire department came. And right as I was hanging myself, they was coming upstairs. And, you know, this is not a proud moment in my life. I'm telling you the truth. Why you shouldn't mess with this drug. And when they was coming upstairs, it was a black fireman. He was black. And I remember I was tying a sheet around my neck, right? And I had a couch in my room, and I pushed it. I was wet. I was tripping. I tore the whole room up, pushed the couch over there, and I stood on it, the couch, and put the sheet around my neck in the closet. And I jumped, and that dude, he kicked in the door, boom. And I was hanging, and he grabbed me. He said, "Not on my watch. Not on my watch." And they hurry up and got me down, and they laid me on my stomach on a gurney and put this long iron thing over me so I couldn't move. And I was like, they had my hands and my legs, like tied to the rails of the gurney, so I couldn't move. And they had this iron metal plate on me, and they took me out of there like that. I was wet, man. And they got me to the hospital and found out that I was on that PCP and make me drink this black chalky stuff. But that just goes to show you. But I actually, man, look, I hung myself and I put that thing around my neck so tight that I couldn't talk for almost 2 weeks, and I couldn't swallow. I was out there. And Web Dog, he wouldn't let me forget it. Every time he seen me, Web Dog would be sitting against the wall with Rip. And Web Dog would see me, he get to yelling, "Suicidal! Suicidal!" Throwing beer cans at me and all that. You know what I'm saying? So this is something everybody know about in the G's. But see, the thing about it is, when I did that, everybody in the G's was tripping. They was coming over my house. I remember Ludog coming over my house. I had a homie named Ludog, and Ludog came on my house, and he tripped out on me. "What you mean you hung yourself? We out here, we got to worry about these bloods killing us. Now we got to worry about you killing yourself? Man, we ain't losing no more homies around here like that, man. What's wrong with you?" He flipped out on me. And that was one of the last conversations, what happened was, they was tripping because, Food's dog, had passed away. And, people were still, feeling, their feelings about that. And when I did that, they wasn't feeling that, so that PCP is what destroyed my era and left the new era without no guidance. And you seen it. They start forming cliques and alliances with people they used to consider enemies because they had no guidance. And then you start hearing them say, "I ain't got no big homies," because the big homies was gone, or they was so gone on that Sherm. And if you think I'm lying, look. This how you know my era was coming to an end. You remember they used to have cops. How many people was on cops? I was on there when I got arrested for my crime. Jig, rest in peace, was on there, shermed out. How many people was on cops? Look at Kane from ABMs. They had the 4-point, they had the hog tie Kane from ABMs. Y'all remember Kane was on cops, shermed out, screaming, singing, and all that. Look how many people was wet on cops, shermed out. That Sherm started to take his place. See? Look how many people start catching cases messing with that water. That Sherm, PCP. And then that powder entered the scene after the PCP. See? That powder. That's what destroyed my era. Drugs and murder. Drugs and murder. Because drugs turned homies against one another. Drugs got homies killed. Drugs broke relationships, bonds that was from the sandbox. Drugs. This era now that you see isn't even a reflection of what, it used to be. It's not claiming 400 block and all this old other stuff. You say you from Vegas, but you look like you from Oakland and built like you from Chicago. But you say you from Vegas. Vegas really don't have an identity no more. And it's because we allowed other people to narrate our story. But also, we can't overlook the fact that we systematically destroyed ourselves. And it's cold because we can't blame that on the Hispanics or the whites, because there was never no black and brown war out here in Vegas. That stuff is in the pen. You never heard about the Gpkz against the Sanchucos or the West Coast Bloods against the Little Locos. You never really heard about that. If it was skirmishes in Northtown between Crips and Mexican gangs or Bloods, man, you didn't hear about it because it never got out of hand. You never truly hear about, you know, black and brown wars like that. You know? So the only people that we have to blame for our demise and the destruction of our culture is ourselves. You know? My error is the reason why this error is acting the way they're acting, because we dropped the ball. We stopped being a family and we became a gang. We stopped looking at each other like brothers and started looking at each other like homies. That was the Gershon's downfall. And once you sprinkle the fact that the police, 86, about 90% of them about the Gershon, you got to add that into the equation too. Because if it don't be for the wax, it don't be no more Gershon. The wax came into existence because the old Gpkz got 86'd about the Gershon, to where it looked like a ghost town. It wasn't nothing but boarded up houses and spray paint, I'm telling you. It was a handful of dudes in the G's holding it down because everybody else was 86'd and they wasn't coming over there. Flock them moved out the G's, Master G them moved out the G's, DMC them moved out the G. Everybody moved out the G's. Trip Mac, everybody, they moved out the G's. They was gone. Wasn't nobody too much up over there but Baby Gangster and Web Dog them and Haney Circle. Wasn't nobody over there. If it don't be for the wax, ain't no telling who come in the G's and take it over if it don't be for the wax. You know? But at the same time, like I say, drugs. And that's in every hood. Because every hood went through the same thing. Every hood basically had the same problems. Inner house hating. Homies hating on each other. Because homies want to take other homies' places. Homies want to be with other homies' females. Homies dirty macking another homie because he ain't burnt out. Because he still, keep himself up. And the ones that's not keeping themselves up, that's always just hanging out to hit something or drink something, they start hating on you because you don't do that. You don't hang around and hit somebody joint or hit somebody 40 ounces. You had homeboys that just stood around just to do that. But when it came to put in work, that's when they say, all right, I gotta go. But they quick to say, let me hit that. And they always got their fingers like this. Hey, let me hit that. Or they say, let me get seconds on that. But when it's time to go put in some work, hey man, I gotta go home, man. My mom, I gotta get to the house, man. What you mean you gotta get to the house? Oh, I'm on probation. What you mean you're on probation? You was just smoking weed, whatever, whoop, whoop. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I gotta go home and drink a bunch of water and get this out of my system. That type of stuff. But anyway, look, man. What happened to my era versus this era is simple as this, man. We failed them. We failed them. I can't even lie. I was so gone in the head. I didn't know who I really thought I was a demon. My mind was somewhere else, man. And these youngsters out here they was looking at us, shermed out, acting the way we was acting, getting into it with one another like we was, when we was supposed to be brothers. They seen that, and then we turned on them. When we lost our shine out here in these streets, and became a has-been because we got burnt out, and your little homeboy started to come and he started to shine. You want to take his glow. You start looking at your homeboy not as a little brother, but as a opportunity. You know, you want to bully him now. And these youngsters, they not going for that. And that's the thing. The OG still want to be looked upon as a reputable when he didn't fell off. He still want respect. So if the youngsters don't respect him, he try to take it, and these youngsters ain't no punks. And so the youngster, before he be punked, he lay the OG down. Now the covenant is broke because the little homie done killed the big homie. So now, you know, it's like it ain't no love. It ain't no guidance. You know? And that's sad. Because if we gangbang, we should have gangbanged so our children don't have to gangbang. We should have, I don't know, man. See, that's why you should join the gang, because you find yourself sitting thinking about what used to be or what could have been. If you don't join no gang and you stay away from that bull crap, homie, you won't have these type of regrets. That's why, you know, it's important for the youth to know the truth and know what they really signing up for. No more smoke and mirrors. I'm not gonna lie to these youngsters and tell them that gang banging and taking each other's life is cool. I'm not gonna lie to them. It's not.